Hi, happy Sunday, and thank you for coming back to That's So Nova. Today I'm going to be doing a pattern that just was released today, but was released to the box members for Sew Your Own Bag. This was July's box, and August's box is going to be shipping this week. But Catherine had a really great pattern called Alkebulan, and we're going to make this today. It's a reversible tote. She has made this beginner level. I actually think reviewing it that it's good for every level from beginners to advanced to intermediate, whomever, because this bag is a great bag to make, and the fact that it's a reversible tote, that's a plus. So this could be your everyday bag, going to the beach bag, dropping kids over at grandma's bag, or your grocery bag. I was thinking if you had, there's an interfacing that keeps waters and milk cool. It might be a really good grocery bag. So with this pattern, it came out today. It's $7.15. And I'm looking at my phone because sometimes my memory is, a little spotty. The pattern's open today. It costs $7.15. $5 from each cell will go to Memorial Sloan for catering for ovarian and gynecologic cancer research in honor of her sister. So I felt like that was a really important stand because sometimes we, as people that do not design, do not understand the process and what the mindset is of a designer when they create a bag. And their patterns can range from $5 to $20. And for this pattern, it is $7.15. And $5 of that is going to a very important cause. And I encourage everybody to get this pattern, not only because it's fantastic, but it's giving into research that's desperately needed. So we're going to be using Ankara fabric. I went ahead and ironed and did all my interfacing ahead of time. So most of the whole pattern is measurements. I will not be giving any measurements out because I want to keep this for the pattern. So once you get the pattern, this might be very easy to follow along with me. You know each piece. I will identify each piece of the pattern, but I will not give out any measurements. So that's my opening, and let's get started. All right. So have your pattern with you. As you can tell, I have an array of different rulers with me. We're going to get started. We cut out, we interface. The interfacing that was in this pattern was anti-softened staple for the foam, Sew Fuse, which is Monica, and there is Decarbon. I believe it's, double check. I think it's a 808 if I'm not mistaken. Pelon Decarbon, yeah. So we're going to you interface and you prep all your pieces. So we're going to start off with the handles first. I'm going to put my rulers right here to the side, and then that way when we get to that part, we can do it. So with your handles, you're going to have a main piece. You're going to interface it with your woven fuse, and then you're going to put your Decobon in there. You're going to press seams together so you can have a line to follow. If you don't want to press it together, you can just draw a line down the center. I just personally like pressing everything. Then you're going to press it together and then fold it and press it again. And this creates your strap. So we are going to be doing our straps, and there are little drawstrings or little ties you're going to make. So what we're going to do is we are going to, the measurements in this pattern, essentially it could be 4 to 4.5. I'm going to follow exactly that. I'm going to sew off the scrap. I always sew a scrap whenever I switch a bobbin to make the tension, just to make sure that the tension is right. Because sometimes some bobbins, they just do not work. So we're going to go to, I'm going to have my stitch length out of 4. I'm using Saba thread, 40 weight polyester, and I'm using red on the top and black on the bottom, the bottom, and we're gonna go from there. I always sew the opening first, and we're gonna do it at 1/8 of an inch, and you're gonna back stitch on every strap, and then when we go to the ties, we have to do another step. So back stitch a couple stitches, and 1/8 of an inch is the inside of my foot. So I just kind of just basically look at that and just keep going. Take your time. And I have some of the interfacing that's kind of poking out a little bit here. So I'm going to take my scissors and just clip that. Let's see. And I'm going to back stitch at the end, like 4 stitches. And I'm going to take this other one and bring it towards this. I'm not stitching them together. The needle's actually going to go 1 or 2 stitches beforehand. It's just called chain stitching. It's time saving. I get a lot of questions on how do I sew bags fast, and I think little methods like this with chain stitching, it helps a lot. You could take it really slow, or you can go extremely fast, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm just pulling, I have like little threads that I'm pulling out. I'm going to back stitch. Now I'm going to pull this thread out, snip my thread ends. I'm really bad. I feel like every sewist has like a thing that they're bad at. I always say snip my threads when I'm on my live, because I am really bad at snipping threads when I'm done. Then I have like this huge big mess, and it's not fun. So we're going to go to the close side, do a couple back stitches, and again, you're chopping 1/8 of an inch. I'm going, there's a little, I'll show you, and then there's a little chain stitch. Okay. See, it's connected by little threads, so I can just come in, cut, and then our 2 handles are finished. And I like the way this feels with the, see, I didn't even cut the threads on this side. I like the way this feels with the fabric, the sew fuse, and the decoupage. It has like a real nice feel. Like, it feels like it's super sturdy yet pliable. I might use this method in different bags. I really like how that is. Now we're going to be doing our ties. With our ties, it's the same thing. You're going to take the width of the fabric, fold it in half, then that crease that you create, you're going to iron it to itself. Then you're going to fold it, and you're going to have a beautiful tie. Now, with the instructions on this, if you're following along on on page 6 for the ties, we're going to leave one side raw edge because it'll be caught in the seam allowance, and the other side we want to make it a clean edge. So Catherine suggests that we take our ruler and we're going to mark down 1 inch, and I'm going to use a pen so you can see. You just mark 1 inch, and then we're going to take that, fold it to the 1 inch mark, the 1 inch mark, which now gives us a 1/2 inch, and then we're going to fold it onto each other. And then we're going to clip it. And then we get some clips. You can definitely clip for the handles too. I just my press pressed it so well that I didn't need any clips. But you know, you never know. Sometimes I get kind of cocky, then I'll be like, oh, these have tons of skip stitches, and it's because I didn't do something as simple as clipping it. So we're going to mark 1 inch. It's only on one side. And we're going to fold down to the 1 inch line, which now it makes it a 1/2 inch. And you can press it, and then you fold it onto itself. Now you can use pins or clips, whatever's easier. I do know Catherine is trying to get, with these boxes every month, she's trying to get people comfortable with clips because there might be vinyl or cork in the future, and you cannot put pins in vinyl or cork. So follow these instructions and you will be okay. Now these are smaller, so it becomes a little bit more tedious to do. So just take your time. If you have a stiletto or a pointing tool, sometimes it helps because you can help guide in and you won't get your fingers caught. That's the most important thing. No needles in the fingers. Fold your threads, back stitch a couple, and we're just stitching down 1/8 of an inch. Now the ties have no interfacing. Hold on, sorry. My machine decided to get a knot. So let me back stitch a couple before. I need to rethread my top stitches. Just cut the edges. Not the edges, but I have a knot, and I'm going to remove it. Sometimes it happens, and then I'm going to just rethread my machine real quick. The machine I'm using is the DL5550N. I got mine from Steve, and she's based in Chicago, and I believe it's sewing gold. This machine is usually meant for garment making, which I do make a lot of garments on it. I just have to change. We were playing around with it, and I changed the feed dog to a heavy feed dog, and this can sew through some pretty nice heavy stuff with the heavy feed dogs, and with the lighter ones, I can sew silks, a lot of different things. Just changing the feed dogs makes all the difference in the world. So yes, and so I have that, and then my needle is, I don't know what size it is, to be honest with you. I was sewing earlier today and I didn't change out my needle. I always tell people to change their needles often, and I did not do that today, which is not a good thing. So I'm going to trim these threads, and I'm going to go back. I'm going to back stitch over where I started getting a knot, and then continue on. It's kind of hard to see, but there's some stitches, and I'm just going to start there and do a couple back stitches. And when I get to the edge, I'm going to back stitch a couple, and then I'm going to bring this one over. I like reversible totes because I feel like you could change them up. When I get to the edge, I'm going to back stitch. I'm just going to go do them on the other side. Because the fabric that came in, the reason why I like this box is because the pattern comes with everything that you need in the fabric. I'm just batting 1,000 today with the threads. Because the box comes with everything that you need to make the bag, it makes life a little bit easier. So with the thread, I would suggest you use the color that you wish. Like this fabric has a lot of like red burgundies and then little hints of blue, baby blue, gold, and black. You can have fun. You can have the bobbin, like I'm doing. The bobbin's black because I know the lining's going to be black. And then the top there could be whatever color. I have no gold thread. So I was kind of lost a little bit on this. Alright, so we're going to trim our threads. And I'm going to trim the area that I had to go back and do the back stitching. And I'm going to cut the chain stitch. And get as close as you can. You know, the sharper the scissor, of course, it's going to get closer. I would not use normally I would be like burning my threads, but not with cotton. Never with cotton. Alright. That's one out of the way. I think I got all the threads out of this one. So we're done with the ties, and we're going to start sewing the exterior of our bottom. We're going to start sewing the exterior fabric. There's a lot of cool methods that Catherine has in here. One of the things we're going to be doing is when you're putting on your interfacing, you're going to, on one edge, make a 1-inch line. And I did it in black so you guys can see it. Then you're going to take it and fold it over to the 1-inch line. Now it's a 1/2 inch seam, and you're going to press it. And you're going to do that on both. This fabric is just gorgeous. Then you're going to take your bottom edges, and we're going to make a 1/2 inch seam. So what I usually do because I'm really bad sometimes, even though I have a 1/2 inch seam on my needle plate, I like to draw lines. I don't know what it is. I've always done it. I feel like I don't know why, it just feels more secure when I do it. So I'm going to use my ruler, have the 1/2 inch seam, and then I'm going to grab my pen again so everyone can see and draw the 1/2 inch seam allowance. All right, so that's what we have in black. The two folds on top are right here. We are going to now go do our bottom. Oh, just an FYI. So, like, if you don't want to draw because maybe you don't know, I usually use the heat erasable, like friction pens or marker. But in colder climates, it can reappear. If your temperature where you live at ever drops to 32 degrees, it can reappear, and sometimes it can reappear with heat, I notice. So if you don't want to draw a line because you're like, I don't want it to seep through to my fabric and I don't want to use pen, I usually use a pencil, which it's hard to see on camera. But another thing you can do is use a hot ruler. I use this a lot when I'm making dresses, and I also use it, I found it really handy in bag making. A hot ruler is something that's really easy. I'll put a link of where I got this. I got this on Amazon. It's no affiliates. So what you would do is, if it says a 1/2 inch, you will take the fabric, place it at the 1/2 inch line, and you would iron right on top of it. And therefore, you're not drawing on anything. You're just hot pressing it. I use this tool a lot. I have a lot of these. These are some of my favorite things because with curving and I have a lot of rulers. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the fabric and make sure that the two folded seams are together. And what I like to do is just make sure that they're together. I will clip the sides to make sure that they stay together. Catherine made this bag very smart. The length is longer and the width, the height it's smaller and the width of the fabric is longer. So therefore all your pieces won't be confusing, because I have actually sewn where I would sew it this way and I'm like, why isn't this working? Because that's not how the bag is going. So we're going to you can put a couple of clips. The pen just fell out of my hair. And we're going to sew this at a 1/2 inch. I'm going to back stitch a couple to secure the stitches in place. Trim the threads. I have threads coming out of everywhere. And clips now falling everywhere. That's pretty much how this place works. We're going to take the clips off, and we're going to, at this point you would go to the iron and press this open. If you don't have an iron right in front of you, what you can do is I'm finger pressing it open. If you wanted to, you can put wash away tape right here. You can use a roller. I don't think I have my roller here. Yes, I do. Okay. You can use your roller and just roll open the seam. Okay. From here, we are going to, there's measurements for the foam. We're going to have the foam, it's going to fit right underneath the fold line. So we're going to, with the seam, you're just going to keep finger pressing it, making sure it's flat, because we're going to So this is so pretty. I love the way this looks. I did not fussy cut it like this on the bottom, but that is pretty cool. That's X marks the spot. That, I mean, I didn't even fussy cut this. And this is just, this is gorgeous fabric. Okay, so we're going to, we ironed it, we pressed out the seam. What we're going to do is we are going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch on both sides to secure the bottom of this seam. So this is the fun part because you're going to, you can use clips right here just to make sure that the fabric doesn't shift or move. And we're going to take it and again, roll this in. We're going to go 1/8 of an inch. Make sure you have your tails back. The seams are flat. And from the edge, I'm going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch. Now, I did, Catherine, if you are in the sewing group, did a fantastic sew along. And she said that you could do 1/8 of an inch or you could do 1/4 of an inch. And then I back stitch. And what I'm going to do is put my needle down. I'm going to pivot, and I'm just going to do one or two stitches, and then go down the other side from the seam. I have scissors dropping everywhere too. If you don't know, I have like a really weird ruler obsession, and I have a scissor obsession. If scissors come in different colors or they're, I don't know, pretty and iridescent, I'll like be like, yes, I need these in my life. And then when I need to actually find scissors, I can't find them. All right, so we secured this to the foam. And what we're going to do from here is we're going to baste. So if you have a little extra hanging on the side, it's fine. It's similar to a quilt. Let's baste this down, and then when it's all based down, you can trim off the foam. So I'm just going to open up this because you don't want to baste this the 1/2 inch down yet. You're gonna kind of just finger press it open. And you're going to go 1/8 of an inch, and you're going to baste. So you can do a base stitch bigger. I'm going to go a 5 because that's like the biggest my machine can go. We're going to do 1/8 of an inch. You're just basting the fabric so it doesn't shift. You can clip all the way around to ensure it. I tell people do not cut your foam. If you're not comfortable, and just baste it first, and then the excess you'll see me go around and cut it because it's just easier. It's easier to take off than trying to put it on because truthfully you won't be able to. You can't add things back on. And again, make sure your folded area does not get basted. I'm basted in the fold. All right, and then I'm going to drop more stuff, and I'm going to go on the other side and baste this. Open the fold up. You're not basting on the top, but just the sides. I'm not gonna lie, I can see in the camera, this is amazing fabric. Yeah, I want like a dress or something now. So we're not gonna keep this crease down. We're just gonna make sure that this doesn't get caught in the base stitch. All right. So from here, we will see how this has extra white right here, but I basted it down. So now I'm going to take my scissors and just remove the excess. See, I have blue scissors now. It's like a magic trick with my scissors. And you're just cleaning up so that all the... Okay, so I'm a natural born klutz. I cannot tell you how many times I've accidentally done something like burn myself. I had to go to the ER because I got a needle. I pierced my finger while I was talking to my sister on the phone. I'm a natural born klutz. So you're going to hear things drop. You're going to see things fall. And that's okay. If your foam is not coming where the crease is, you can just trim away, because this is a little bit above the crease. Don't trim your fabric, just trim your foam. Because foam can stretch. I found that out in an interesting way. Just make sure you fold over. Fold it over. All right. So from here, we need to figure out what side we want to be the front. Like if you want this to be the front or this. I actually think this side is prettier for a front. We're going to find our center and we're going to measure from the top edge 7 inches down. So because this fabric is colorful and there's a lot of art, you want to, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to fold it in half to make sure that I have my center. I'm going to pop a little clips or whatever's available by me. Make sure that everything lines up. I just want to make sure the top edges line up and everything is lining up perfect. I'm going to grab a ruler and 7 inches down. So let's see. Aha, check. Okay. 7 inches down. I'm going to make a little mark, white mark, and I'm going to show you it. So I took the ruler, put 7 inches, then I'm going to make a white mark. This is a chalk pencil. This little area, I know it's hard to see. This little area right here is where we're going to put this really cute name tag from Lauren Mormino. And it says Handcrafted. And I just really love this because we put in a lot of work when we make bags. And it's not homemade. This is art. So handcrafted is the perfect thing to say. And you know what's weird? I can see the monitor and it looks like Baby Yoda is looking at you. Baby Yoda might be judging you. All right. We got these really cool mats that we're going to use to make some cuts. I personally, what I like to do is I like to take the prong area. I have my white dot. I'm going to take the prong area and just make marks where they are. From there, you can use a scissors. You can use whatever that you have in front of you. You have a X-Acto knife, whatever you have right now, it looks, I keep dropping stuff, sorry. Right now I'm going to use the seam ripper. So I'm going to just barely, I'm going to pierce the edge and I'm just going to shimmy up. Don't pierce your hand. The X-Acto knife would be better, and it's weird that I don't have one right here because I usually do. But it is what it is, and you do what you can do, what you have in front of you. Okay, and let's see. From here, we're going to take our Handcrafted, make sure it's facing the right way because I have put tags on where my nameplate was facing a completely different way. It was really funny. It's not funny, but it is kind of funny. I'm going to take another pair of scissors, and you're like, Cheryl, why do you have so many scissors? Again, I admit it, I'm a scissor addict. When I usually do this with cotton, I like to put like a dab of glue or friction, like a fray check on it because sometimes it can fray, but I don't think it will on this. But it shouldn't. So you have your prongs in the back. You're going to take your plate, and you can grab a tool or like you could take a Phillips, just press it down. But I usually could just press it down with my finger. I'm not going to lie to you. So you could leave it just like this. I don't. This bag is not going to be a birthing bag, but this can rub against the fabric, the lining fabric in time, like every time you put stuff in, and it can eventually cause a hole. So what I like to do is I like to put duct tape. And yes, I ripped off the duct tape with my hands. And just put it on here so that way when it's rubbing against it, the prongs are all the way in. It's pretty. So we have the front of the bag, and our next step, we are on page let's see. Our next step, we're going to go to page 9, and we're going to put our handles. So you need to lay the top side out, and you're going to find your center. Move this stuff. And I like to find my center by matching this. And I'll just put a white mark. This is chalk, so it comes off really easy. Trim these threads. Do the same thing. Fold it. Find your center. Mark it. From here, from your center, you're going to mark out 3 inches. So I'm going to do 3 inches on the first one. Put a mark. So hard to see this mark because it's on gold. And we're going to put another mark. It's so easier to see on the black, huh? So we're going to do the same thing on the other side, and then we're going to base the handles on. 3 inches. Okay. Grab our handles, and we're going to clip one side and keep it straight. So like when you're doing this, I like to keep this straight, and then I just bring over the other side. Now, there's always a debate on this. Do you put the stitch line, the one that was open stitch line, towards the bag or outside the bag? It is all personal preference. I generally like to have, when this is going out, that the closed edge without the stitching is facing with the bag being up. Because, I don't know, you can't see, I mean, you're not really going to be able to see this side, but that's just personal preference. Like, so the opening where we close it shut, I like to have it towards the inside of the bag. Then I need to find this impossible white mark that's on gold and bring my edges together. And then do the same on this side. Okay. Make sure it's not, I'm just sorry, you're going to go unfold it because this is going to go into the folded part. And we're going to just baste these on with a 1/8 of an inch. So make sure you unfold it when you do it. I'm just going to pull the threads similar to my chain stitching. And baste this on 1/8. Back stitch a couple of stitches just to reinforce the stitching. Trim threads. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really mesmerized by this fabric. I'm opening up my seam to make sure I'm not closing, so I'm on a closed seam. Let's do 1/8 of an inch basting again. Back stitch. Pulling my threads back. Triple checking that line. It doesn't hurt to triple check because you don't want to be have it towards the end and you're like so upset that it's not coming out like the way the instructions are saying. I highly suggest people to definitely read the pattern first before you attempt it. Now, if you're a visual learner, like I said, the group is really nice. Catherine has like a 3-part video explaining each step, and this is truly a fun beginning bag. So from here, we're going to fold these onto itself, and I'm just going to clip the tops to make sure that everything is even. I just want to just making sure everything's even is super important for this next step, because this is how we're going to get the depth of the bag and box the corners. All right. So with the seam right here, we're going to measure 2 inches wide, 2 inches line onto a 2-inch box, basically. So I am going to draw where's that little square ruler? Okay, so we're going to have to do a 2-inch square ruler. I'm going to draw. And the seam is right here, so we're keeping this as flat as possible. Okay. I'm going to pop a clip right here above the 2 right here. So we're going to cut out this 2-inch box. All right. I'm going to take these clips off and not try to have them fall all over the floor. Open this up. And we're going to baste around this box so that way the fabric stays together as one. It could feel awkward because this is you have foam and you're kind of playing like a magic trick, but it all works out in the end. Pivot with your needle down. Pivot again. All right. Trim your thread so that you don't have to trim a million threads in. And we're going to do the other side real quick. We're doing out 1/8 of an inch. And I'm still at a 4. I kind of like this stitch with this fabric. Usually with cotton, I go like 2.5 because I'm really weird. I like small stitches. It all depends on the bag though too, which you hear so much. Personal preference, personal preference. All right. So trim threads, and we're on page 10, and we're like halfway there. So we're going to clip the bag together, unfold the top, I'm going to grab a few clips. Do the same thing, flip it on the side. You can draw your seam allowances on here too. I'm prone to doing that. Just make sure that the top parts, I like to clip like on the top to make sure that all the top parts just stay together. Everything matches. And we are going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Yes. Okay. I just wanted to triple check. Read the instructions, better safe than sorry. Alright, 1/2 inch. Back stitch. I like to back stitch anywhere from 4 to 5. We're going to do the same thing on the other side and try to get rid of some of these threads. Okay. We're We're going to trim threads again. Then we're going to box the corners. There's a lot of ways you can do this. I like to personally stick my hand right in the thing in the bag and kind of just flatten this as much as possible. And then I'll pop a few clips. I actually put more on box corners, and then I'll go to the other side and do the same thing. Just stick my hand in it. You can fuss around with this as much as you want, because this is a lot of people don't like box corners because they come out a little wonky or what have you. This is when you play around and see if you can get that perfect lining. Like pins, I have favorite clips that don't fly off. So we're going to box these and we're going to sew. And it's okay to get ready to like squish down your bag. It is perfectly fine. It will bounce back. One of the reasons why I like this bag so much is that Catherine worked with a lot of different small businesses to curate this bag. So Annie Soft and Stable, if you ever have a chance, go to her website, look at her thing. She has a very interesting tell. I have used Art Foam. I have used Pellon. Annie Soft and Stable is what I go back to over and over again, because there's something about this foam that it recovers so nicely and gives bags excellent shape. So trim threads. Get on the other side, squish your bag. And I take the corners of the bag, poke it in, and then pull it right sides out just to see if I caught everything. And it just makes you feel good because you're like, yeah, my bag's almost done. So you poke out the corners. Because we're going to be working on the lining next. This is going to be a really pretty bag. Now you could put your plate on the edge, on the very top, anywhere you want, because when you have a fabric like this, you want to just make sure the label is right. So how you feel is right. But I love the shape of this bag already. Alright, so we're going to put this aside. Oh no, we're not going to put this aside. We're going to we're going to turn it over and materials out like we did, and we're going to line the raw edges of the tie with the side seams. So this raw edge on the raw edge, hold on, I'm going to put a clip there. We're going to do the raw edge of this with the other tie. Make sure that the finished edge is on the outside. Raw edge meets raw edge. And we're going to base these on at 1/8 of an inch. Again, get ready to squish your bags, get the handles out of the way, because you don't want to accidentally sew fabric onto one another. I'm just going to go do a few stitches back and forth. Again, make sure that you're flipping open you're flipping open the 1/2 inch seam allowance. You're not sewing it down, because this is all going to be concealed when we do the last drop in. Again, squish your bag, make sure nothing else is in the way. We're going to base this at 1/8 of the seam allowance. Alright, so we have our little ties on the side, and this is going to be put down. And I'm going to drink water. Please stay hydrated, because I don't know if anyone's like me. When I start sewing, I don't eat, I don't drink, I don't get up and stretch my legs, and it's important to do that, self-care. Okay, so got some water, and let's get started on the lining. We have this really pretty Kona cotton, and this is the lining. We have a lining top and a lining bottom. For the lining top, there's also a 1-inch mark that you drew, and you pressed it in, and now we have a 1/2 inch. We're going to take the top of this, put right sides together, and we are going to sew at 1/4 of an inch. Back stitch. And this is definitely, I forgot to put a couple clips in, and just clipping and pinning, like, it helps tremendously. Let's see. I'm following the seam gauge on my machine, or you can draw a line. Now, with this, Catherine advised you to press up, and we're going to top stitch at 1/8 of an inch. Press it towards the top. Let's see. An iron will help. You can finger press like I did, and then just continuously fill to make sure that you have that going the same way. I like having it pressed upwards, because it gives the top of the bag more structure. Trim all the trim all the threads. I'm like having a word vomit today. Like, I can't say words. It's okay. So we're going to do this again with the other lining piece. I love black cotton. It can attract a lot of length, but I love it. I love it so much because there's something really classy about it. And just, I don't know. And this fabric's Kona, which is like one of my all-time favorite fabrics, because Kona doesn't fray as much as like Joann's brand. I don't like, it's something country that it frays so much. So again, 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, back stitch. Take your time and make sure you're breathing. I'm going to take this and just finger press it up. And then I'll just measure. So you're going to take your seam and have it go towards. You can have it go to the lining, or you can fold it like you do as a quilt and top stitch one area. I do like folding it up because I just feel like it gives the top a little bit more structure, like boning in a dress. It just gives it that extra structure. Then we're going to top stitch at 1/8 of an inch. And if you didn't press it like I did, then just continuously have your hands underneath to make sure that the seam is going that way. And when you stop, try to stop on with the needle down. Okay. Once we do that, we're going to you already have the fold down. We are going to put together the slip pocket. So we're going to put right sides together. We're gonna it's like leap. The pins just pop. All right, we're gonna put right sides together, and we are going to sew 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Again, you could draw it on the back, or you can trust your hand if you have a seam gauge, or washi tape, or painter's tape, whatever works for you. I know there's another brand I want to say. So that's so awesome. They have like tape that you can put on your machine, so that way you can make sure that you have the right seam gauge, like the seam allowance. So 1/4 of an inch, and we're only going across the long part of the slip pocket. I'm just trimming the seam, not the seams, the threads. Apparently I have seams on my mind. So we're going to turn this right sides out. Now, it is a tube. You can just roll it up like you would do like a sock or a stocking, or just roll it up and then pull it out. If your hand's really small, you can probably go inside out. Like put your hand in and pull it out. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a 1/2 inch of the lining poking out. So what I do is I'll go and measure to make sure it's even. I'm just clipping as I see a half an inch. And I'm just rolling if it's a little off. We're going to then top stitch this at 1/8 of an inch. Okay, it did cut and I just want to stay. And I'm just going to do this at 1/8 of an inch. Take your time and just breathe and not accidentally put your foot on the pedal and go faster. So we have our top stitch. We're going to take one of our lining pieces and we're going to measure 4.5 inches up. 4.5 inches up. 4.5. And put our slip pocket there. So what I do when they have this, I usually like to make a line going across. So what I would do is I would take like a chalk pencil and I literally draw the line. So that way, if I mess up, I won't mess up as much. All right. So from there, I will put it on the line, and I will put clips on the side. I'm just erasing the line that I made a mistake on. That's why I like chalk pencils, because you just erase them. All right. So we are going to make 3 pockets. This real quick. We're going to make lines in here for 3 inches from each side. This. Inches. And take your time and measure these, because when we cut out the squares and how the bottom goes and the sides, you just want to make sure you have your measurements right. All right. So the way I'm going to do is I'm going to sew up the sides and make a U and go up. And then I'm going to go down and I'm going to bar tack these into place and make sure that when you put your cell phone or whatever, it will not lift up. I usually kind of make a fork and I go from there. So I'm going to base these in place. Make sure my needle's down and pivot this when you're putting this. It's 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to pivot and tack this in place. Okay. So what I do is I will take the top of this area and I'll stitch the top. I'll bar tack it, like I'll go back and forth like a couple times to make sure that that area is just reinforced. Then turn my machine around and follow the first line. Now I could do that again on this other side, or I can just reinforce the stitches, that 1/8 of an inch area here. And it's kind of like a quilt. Like you can just like make your way to the other side. Just make sure you back stitch. Okay. So once we do that, we're almost at the home stretch. We're going to put linings. We're going to get the linings. We're going to put them together. Let's see. Make sure they're all lined up. This is where you would like take this area and make sure it's lined up with this section. So before I even do the stitch, I just want to make sure these areas are connecting so I can look as seamless as possible. Okay, so we're going to do a 1/2 inch for the bottom. Trim threads. Okay. Then we are going to do our 2-inch boxes. Oh, sorry, we're going to sew these parts together. So make sure you unfold your little 1-inch flap, 1/2 inch. What I like to do is in the areas I know that the pocket's at, I like to backstitch just a little bit on those because reinforcement. Just trimming these extra threads because what they do is they wind up getting caught in your bobbin thread or pretty much everything. So sewing the other one. Make sure this area is unfolded so that they can get sewed together. Okay. Let's do these 2-inch boxes. Right. I'm going to cut these 2-inch boxes. You can use a rotary. I just like a really nice pair of sharp scissors. Okay, so we're going to box these corners too. Go in. I'm going to put it, because when I cut it, the stitches came loose. I'm just going to reinforce this 1/2 inch seam allowance on the bottom. And on the top, it was kind of coming apart, and I don't want like loose stitches. Okay. Now I'll box the corners. You can just... Okay, so with this, it's always funny because you can either do one side goes to one side of the seam allowance goes to this side and the other one goes to the other, or you could be a person that's like, I'm going to open up each seam and have it, distributed that way, and that's probably the way I'm going to go. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I think I'm going to switch this, not have the seam open, have it one side going to another side, because it is fairly light. So we're going to use a seam allowance. And where the seam is, I always like to just back stitch a couple of stitches. Especially in cotton, it's not going to hurt, it's not going to appropriate it or anything, it's not going to make it tear, it just makes it stronger in that area. We're in the home stretch right now. So, we're on page 14. This is the last page. So we're going to turn this bag inside out real quick. There's a lot going on with the ties and the handles. All right. So the side that has mermaid tape is the side that has the logo. So when you have the handbag, it depends. Some people like to have their pocket right by the logo, and other people want the pocket right in the back. Again, personal preference. But I'm going to show you how we're going to do it right in the back. So first we're going to take the wrong sides to wrong side. We are going to merge them together. Be careful of your handles and your ties. You can like clip them out of the way. And we're going to use both of them with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So the same seam allowances we've been doing throughout the bag. Let's see. This gives it a nice, cleaner inside. It's not like slouchy. This is a good habit to have, especially when you're making bags. It makes the inside like nice and taut, and it's pretty. I just like the way it looks. I'm going to do the other side, squishing the bag out of the way. Make sure you back stitch. Next time I do a video, I'm also going to probably have a camera that comes in right here, just because I know it's difficult to see. If you have any suggestions on views or whatever, please put them in the comments. So we're going to take this and have this go out. So the bag's inside out right now, and that's exactly where we want it. We are going to take the seams that that are folded in, and we're going to line up the seams and clip. So I'd like to do the seam to seam first, just to make sure it's even. And we're folding in the edges and making sure that they just line up. Take your time. Use as many clips as you want. There's no clip judge here. As you can see, I have tons of jugs of clips. I usually step on them and they hurt. So I have a lot of clips. We're going to be top stitching. This is a drop-in lining. I know a lot of people are afraid of drop-in linings, and I understand the fear. I get it. But bags like this are great beginner bags to understand why drop-in linings are good. If you're a person that you like have arthritis or it's hard to turn bags, drop-in linings is the way to go. It has a really nice clean look to it. It's easier than some people think. And I love the fact that Catherine made her first bag a drop-in lining. And I'm just making sure those seams match. Clipping. That pressed seam that you did, that 1/2 inch, really comes in handy right now. So there's like a lot. There's people that are under clippers and over clippers. At first I always said I was an over clipper, but there's sometimes I don't use clips at all. But like when it comes down to top stitching the final of the bag, I will use everything in my arsenal, sewing arsenal, to make sure that this bag comes out like the stitching is good. That's why we're stitching it from inside out. So that way, to ensure your top stitching will be fantastic. Okay. I think I am ready to go. Take these other clips out of the way. Double check. I'm just going through to make sure like the linings, they're all aligned right, because it is really, really easy for it not to align right. Let's see. Okay. I think all right. Let's see. I think I have it all right. So we're going to take the bag and we're going to be sewing from the inside. So you have to be cognizant of all these ties and that you're not sewing over something else. So take your time, and we're going to stop top stitch at 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to start. I like to start always in the corner. I like to start and finish in the seam, so that way you can't see the back stitching as much. All right, so as we take our time, make sure you pull your tails. And it'll be bulky, a little bulky in the tie area and then where the handles are, but that's okay. And if you have your clips positioned the right way, you can just, like if the clip's right there, you can just like kind of pull it, or push it down and pull it off, and it'll go onto, you know, whatever side of the machine that you toss it on. But you could definitely do this with pins. And I'm just pulling the bag towards me as I'm going, so that way it can come to me whenever I stop. I'm going to be stopping in a needle down position so I can move and maneuver and fix things as I go. I like to backstitch over like any of the ties or any of the handles, because it gives it. I'm just like dropping them like crazy. Okay, it gives you like, for me, I feel like it's reinforced. I'm hard on bags. Okay. I'm at the edge and I'm just trimming some thread so that way the thread doesn't get caught. All right. Trimming threads. As close as you can. Okay. So you have your outside pocket. Now we did the top stitching. We're going to remove that thread. You're going to grab the corner and pull it to the right side of the bag. Poke out the little corners. If you have a like a bone finger or some kind of tool, like you can use a chopstick, but this one, you can definitely use your hands on this one. Oh, this is a beautiful bag. I'm trimming threads that I missed. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if I can get this. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I can get the camera to focus on the whole bag. There we go. This is a lovely bag. Oh my. It's like you do the ties on the inside and you can make it look a little more. Yeah, I'm going to tie it a little tighter. You have a curve. It helps if I actually tie it. Oh, this is beautiful. Take this off. Down. This is a wonderful bag. The inside with the pockets. Yeah. All right. So, again, we're done with this bag. This is a fast, fun bag. I can see this gift as given as gifts. I wanted to keep this one for myself, but I'm giving it to a family friend that needs some, a little extra happiness right now. I think this is a great bag. I love the pocket. I like the fact that you could now, if you want to, you can do, once you make it once, you can do modifications, make a zipper pocket. You can do a couple different things with this bag, but the structure of this bag is absolutely gorgeous. I love the ties. At first I wasn't so sure, but it gives it a really great look, like a really good, like, it's nice. All right, so this pattern just got opened up for the public, and it was in the subscriber box. There's probably, if you don't know about the box, I'm going to put all the information about the box in my description box and my description area. And then Happy released the pattern today, and again, it's $7.15. That sounds like a time, not a price. It's $7.15, and $5 goes to ovarian and gynecology research for cancer. You get this beautiful pattern and is reversible. You can't just like that. To me is really cool because you have this gorgeous fabric and then you're like, hey, you know what? I want to change the way I feel today. I want a new bag. And then bam, you have another bag, just a whole different look on a bag. Oh yeah, this is really cool. I could see this like for like even college, like have your all your college fabric on one side and then the other side it's like just the school colors. Um, there is interfacing that's similar. It looks like foam, but it has like insulation. This could be a really cool cooler for tailgating. Like this is a great bag for a lot of different things. $7 to 15 cents. I'm going to put everything in the description box. It is a fast make. There's not a lot of pieces. There's not a whole lot of interfacing, and you learn new different techniques like sewing the ends together so that way it is nice and tight in the inside and it's not a slouchy bag. And the ties too. I think that's pretty interesting because you can put your keys on them, or you have a young one and they have a pacifier, you tie that to it. There's a lot of possibilities for modifications and just to have a great bag. So I'm going to put everything in the description box for this. If you have any questions, please leave a comment and I'll be more than willing to answer it. If you have, if you want to see me make a bag, please put it in the comment section and I can try to get a hold of the designer to see if I can make an instructional video. If you want a different view, like a more eagle eye, just description, like, subscribe, share, and that's it. Thank you for sewing with me again. And like I said, like, subscribe, share, comment. Yay! I hope you guys have a great night and thank you for coming. I'm going to turn this around for you.